We got Margaret Wong on.
All I wanna say is that they don't really care about us. All I wanna say is that they don't really care about us.
I came to America in 1969. I didn't speak very good English, and I went to all-girls Catholic junior college. And after law school, I couldn't get a job because in those days, in 1976, now I'm 60 years old. In 76, I couldn't, even though I passed Ohio bar, New York bar, I just couldn't get jobs. So I started on my own. And I used to do wills. I used to run to the airports, sign people's wills before, hopefully nothing happens to them. And I just lucked into immigration in the 70s. So I've been doing it all these years. And look at all your energy here. I was awed. I was sitting here listening to you guys and watching you guys. That's really a miracle what you're doing here. It's magic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody deserves a better life. You know, we all survive.
Right.
And immigration and civil rights,
Right.
we're very parallel. In 1964, Lyndon Johnson passed the Civil Rights Act. 1965, the Quota Act came in. In 1890, there's Exclusion Act against the Chinese people. They only let male Chinese come to America, but no female.
1890?
Yes, it's awesome.
But
So
no
it's-
female.
no female. So if you look at all those children, they're all really children, Chinese children of prostitutes, because it costs a lot of money to even do it with a prostitute, because there's only few Chinese prostitutes in California. And also I noticed you are a very lyrical, you're very preacher. Like in our culture, we're taught to be quiet. We're taught to read. We're taught to think. Children don't say nothing. It's like when adults are speaking, we don't say nothing. So it's a very different, so we need to learn from you, like as foreign borns.
Right.
That's right. About how you need to demand. If you don't ask, you don't
Now,
get.
obviously, you're a stickler for the Constitution, right?
Yes.
And right now, it's a campaign going on against Barack Obama, saying he's trying to subvert the Constitution and go around its constitutionality and do things on an executive order basis and increase the power of the presidency. Now, with you being a stickler for the Constitution, you know, you got to be real adamant. I know you bring a lot of passion to law and fire. Is that the case?
Yes. And especially when you work, see, we're not like a big law firm where the young lawyers that sit in the basement, they do research. In our lives, like this afternoon, we have 3 clients getting ready to be deported. So I have to call the deportation officer and immigration office and ask, is it true? So the officer called back and say she did not see anything on the computer showing that tickets were bought. So I'm like, oh, good, at least I have till Monday to file because the courts are closed.
Right.
So these are things that until you see your client's eyes, you don't get it. If you think you are poor and you have no jobs or no money, think of people like us. We couldn't even speak your language. I mean, it's hard. And the weird thing is, I still remember when I came in 1969, you know how in America, the first thing they look at is, are you black or are you white or are you Hispanic?
Right, exactly.
Because I came from Hong Kong, our dark people are very rich because our dark people is Indians. Indian people, they live in Hong Kong, they're traders. So when I came to America, I never thought people are black and white because for me, they're Americans. And if you look at, like I see black, right? But I still remember 40 years ago when I came, I never see you as black. I just thought, oh, you're Americans, you're so lucky. You don't have to...
Now, a lot of people may or may not know that there's an uptick or an increase in the industrialization of China right now.
Yes.
And it almost seems as though China has a point to prove, not just to the world, but to themselves. Do you feel that? Is that the sense over there in Hong
Yes,
Kong?
Hong Kong and India are the 2 countries now. That's why America is really working closely with India to really suppress China, because that's how it is. In the olden days, you have the Cold War between Russia and America.
Right.
Now you have the Cold War between, even in Asia, you have South Korea fighting North Korea.
Right.
And you also have Japan, who really is trying to go between North Korea, who is pro-China. Of course, North Korea is communist, and China is communist, but Chinese is more socialist now versus communism.
Okay.
And then Indonesian, Malaysia, they have a lot of Muslim coming up. On the southern side, the Philippines, also a lot of Muslims.
Right.
So our countries are also in turmoil. It's really a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah,
Now, do you deal with any Taiwanese people?
absolutely.
Now, knowing that right now China and Taiwan are having a little ill relations between the two,
I didn't know you know all this.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
they're having a little ill relations between them, and the United States is kind of siding with Taiwan.
Right.
And China and the United States don't get along right now with that.
Right.
What is the sense of urgency over there in Taiwan? I mean, how are they looking at it? Are they looking to continue, to grow their industrialization to become independent, or what's the thinking over there in Taiwan?
It depends. If your children of Taiwanese people came, like my generation came, if my children, and I'm from Taiwan, actually I'm from Hong Kong, but let's give it an example. If I'm from Taiwan, I gave birth to American-born kids, they would be very pro the independence of Taiwan. But my generation would believe in one China.
A lot of people don't know Margaret was an acting judge with the Maltz Museum of Jewish Heritage.
Yes.
They just had a Stop the Hate essay contest. And a young student won the contest and got a scholarship, and Margaret was a judge. How did that come about, you being the judge of that contest? Did someone approach you, or did you take interest in it and follow up on it, or how did that go?
Yes, every year they invite some independent judges, and I'm sure they don't want the judges to be all Jewish.
Right,
So they
right.
invite the Asians, the different communities, so
Right.
that we all understand the museum.
Did you counsel with each other on the winner?
No,
or,
basically we did a lot of homework, but like we spent hours because there were like hundreds and hundreds of submissions.
Right,
So we narrowed down to the last 10.
right.
Now they have to do a verbal race, and so we sat there for about maybe 5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty hard work because you want to do your
And
best
sit
for
there
them.
and listen to the children
Yes.
do a verbal essay.
Yes,
And you
yes.
get about 5 hours.
Right, because they make us go very early. That's the
Right.
one thing about the Jewish culture versus the Chinese culture. My people are always late. You say something starts
They
at
say
9.
black people are late.
Oh my God! Oh no, Chinese are worse. We are pathetically late, fashionably late. But for the Jewish culture, the race started actually at 3 o'clock or 2:30. They made us be there like at 12:30.
Wow.
They have food for us. They make sure we're there, and we are there.
Now, did you vote? Big shout out to Andrea. She won that too. Now, did you pick Andrea? I don't want to put you on the spot. I shouldn't ask
I
you.
better not
Yeah,
say.
you're right.
Yes.
Okay. But let me ask you another question. Were you impressed by what the winner Andrea had to say?
Oh my gosh, she's actually I picked her. She's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. Now it's after the fact. She's awesome. It's to the heart, and these are young kids. These are high school kids. You're not talking about college kids, and they win a lot of money. They win thousands and thousands. About the Rich Museum, you all could be the Maltz Museum one day. Mr. Maltz started his fortune. I knew him for more than 30 years. As radio stations, kids, Mr. Maltz started his fortune by owning one radio station, 2 radio stations. He was a person like you. He would go on radios. He can still speak the radio language.
Okay.
And then he sold his whole empire, and he made so much money that he built the Maltz Museum.
Wow.
And he just gave Case Western University $2 million. So you could all do that. Yes.